So next story we're going to go to is again another Common Dreams article, and it's another Kenny Stancil. What do you know? Told you he knocked it out this week. Uh, this one got me so angry and crestfallen, and
Oh,
I don't even
you mean electoral
exasperated.
politics?
Exasperated are the best words that I can use to describe it. Um,
Yeah.
but when I read a report that just 6% of U.S. House seats are expected to be competitive thanks to rigged congressional gerrymandered maps. Again, and
Yep.
it's not just a law, and then alongside a wave of voter suppression laws that are mostly being put in place by the GOP, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. In a major blow to the democratic principle that lawmakers are accountable to the voters who can remove them from office, the vast majority of seats in the House are becoming non-competitive. A trend that
Right.
right. But again, it's not just the Republican seats, okay, that threatens to exacerbate extremism and incumbents in solidly red districts, but it also exacerbates incumbents in solidly blue districts. And I'm sure they're going to get to that as well. I hope they will at least.
Right.
Okay. So several months into the decennial redistricting process, or decennial, I don't remember how that's pronounced, but
One of those ways.
335 congressional districts have been redrawn as of Thursday, and just 27 of them are considered competitive, meaning neither
Yeah.
one have an advantage of more than 5 points. So they're
Okay.
being drawn to the extremes. They're being drawn to have parties win, or to have certain groups of people win certain districts.
Yeah. Classic
In
gerrymandering.
in the end, well, yes, and then only have a handful that actually makes up the difference. So in this case, now it's only 6%. If as many as 94% of representatives are running in relatively safe districts, that means that when voters show up at the polls, the contest will already be decided. Their votes won't matter. Now, what the argument is going to be made is that, well, that's the ideology that's going to overwhelmingly match the majority of the population of that district potentially, and that
Yeah.
any person representing that group would represent them. But we all know that the big money candidate, if you have one party, a uniparty on either side, is just going to get bought out by the corporations, because corporate Democrats do just as much as corporate uh
What are those?
it's
Republican?
corporate Republicans. Sorry, I got thrown off by the chat because Human Love Solidarity wrote something in a foreign language, and I thought it was gobbledygook for a second, one of those restream bots, and I'm like, wait, no, that wasn't it. So again, over the past year, CommonDreams has reported, as they have reported, GOP-controlled states have supplemented their tidal wave of voter suppression laws by redrawing congressional and state legislative maps in ways
Yeah.
that disenfranchise Democratic-leading communities of color and give Republicans outsized representation. Okay, because what they focused on is a state-level takeover of the
Yeah.
country. So they didn't just focus on the 535 federal seats. They focused on all the
Right.
locals. They focused on the state
Yep.
governors, and the majority of state governors are Republican at this point, and the majority of state
Yep.
legislatures at this point are Republican, and they're setting a lot of the redistricting in states where they are not, where an independent commission is not required,
Right. It allows
like
them to stack up state courts and allows them to stack
Michigan.
fucking. Yep.
Like
I mean,
Michigan, for
it's just
example, voted for recently, or the last couple of years, to have an independent redistricting commission to remove the gerrymandering, and it's 3 people, I believe, from each side plus an independent or something like that, for some kind of
right.
representation. Of course, independents underrepresented as always, but at least if we have somebody there.
Yep.
So there we go. Of course, Texas rigged congressional boundaries to slash the number of competitive U.S. House seats from 12 to 1, doubling the number of safe GOP seats from 11 to 22 in the process. They ripped up Texas.
Yep.
And they eliminated seats that previously were represented, that had more people of color represented, and now those people are being kind of washed in a larger district that includes a more affluent, wealthy white population as well, which is horribly unfortunate. Here you go. It's illegal, and it's gross, and it's depriving them of services as well. So again, despite gaining nearly 2 million Hispanic residents and more than 500,000 black residents, Republicans didn't draw a single new majority Latino or majority black congressional district. Of course not. Majority white areas in Houston and Austin, which also I'm sure had growth, but not to the level of. Right, and here you go. So Texas is going to be a bellwether of things to come in Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, places where they control all three branches at the state level. Okay, diminishing number of competitive seats has far-reaching implications. If only 6% of seats are up for grabs, most of them will no longer have to worry about the general and will instead play to the party's base and the primaries. And I will give the, primaries are everything. I once heard somebody say a long time ago. I won't even give credit for who it is, but some of us know who that is. But primaries have now become everything. GOP incumbents in solidly red districts in particular have moved further right to avoid being unseated by more reactionary primary challengers, which we've seen. So Eric Cantor, for example, who was one of the top-ranking House officials, and he was to be considered an extreme righty, but even still, the Tea Party had him pushed out by an even further extreme right-wing candidate, who's done, by the way, who did nothing as representative in Congress. Never rose to any power of any kind of leadership or ascension. I mean, who unseated Eric Cantor? Nobody knows. Nobody remembers. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
People knew who Eric Cantor was. He was going to be the next Speaker of the House.
Yep.
Then he got beat.
I definitely remember the name.
Right? So why? Because he was one of the, honestly, he was, as a Jewish guy, he was one of the few Jewish Republicans that made it into Congress at all. And 90% of the representation for the Jewish community is in the Democratic Party, which is really interesting considering the way that the far right, that the Republican Party embraces Israel. But a lot of that, of course, is because of the end time stuff that goes along with Christian fundamentalism. Again, this is a somewhat long article. Oh, look at that. We ended it right here. So again, Brennan, senator for justice, never a big fan, but stress of Senate Democrats, reformers. So again, a lot of this is right wing bad, right wing bad, right wing bad, but left wing, not left wing, but Democrats are just as bad when it comes to trying to get third parties off the ballots. Now they are fighting the voter suppression in a lot of these cases, but they want to gerrymander districts just as much so that they can. They want to win too. What we want to see are independent commissions represented by all sides, so that everybody in the community is properly represented. So that is the House, and that's congressional elections. Are they a big waste of money? Well, according to this, again, I think I saw like how many billions of dollars were wasted on congressional elections and how many
congressional districts. If they're not even
6%
viable.
Influence. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers. And who's getting rich in all this? Who's getting rich? The lobbyists,
local news agencies,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
well, not even local news agencies. It's the big media companies that are getting the ad dollars from the defense contractors. Again, this is part of the Fortune 500 cycle where they're influencing, buying off Congress and making sure that all, and not just Congress, but now at the state level too, ensuring that these districts are uncompetitive so that they can. It makes it easier for them to decide how to influence Congress. So again, big shout out to Kenny Stancil. Thank you for that one. That's a really killer article. Again, human love, solidarity, trans-Marxist. No, I know you're not a bot. I saw that you were there. It's just I saw it in. I'm sorry about that. That's really funny.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who didn't remember. Ed, No,
I knew that. Who's David Bratt? Who Did I miss
Yeah.
something? I guess
Yeah.
so. Okay. So the
Um,
primary is where locals make a change because it's like a lottery. Exactly. Yeah. Um,